Welcome to this edition of Keeping It Rich with Sakina. I am here today with a very special guest. I have my one and only Kyle Cole here, who is a Gen Zer. Are you Gen Z?
I think so.
You think so? Yes. I think he's Gen Z. He's in his 20s. And so I asked him to come in and help me out here today because we're going to have a conversation around debt. So I really want to talk about debt to income ratios, which we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, I want to remind everyone that the previous episode we talked about debt is not a bad word.
Mm.
So in your generation, in the 20-year-old somethings, what do you think about debt?
Um, I think me as well as a lot of the Gen Zers, as you like to call us, we tend to look at debt as a pretty bad thing. We want to, try to keep our debts low. And
When you say low, what does low look like for a Gen Zer?
I mean, for a Gen Zer, like somewhere in like I'd say the 5 to 12,000 range is like
Good, low,
low,
manageable
I
debt?
believe so. I mean, if we're
Okay.
going up into the 20s to 50s, we're kind of,
You're kind of freaking out.
yeah, a little bit.
How does that play in when you look at buying a house?
Um,
Because you're not going to get a house for $20,000.
no. So, I mean, me personally, buying a house seems like something in the distant future. But
Distant,
uh,
like what? Like in your 30s, distant, or in your 25s?
yeah, like once I feel like I have like, sufficient income to back up all the, mortgages, pipe busting, garbage man don't come sort of deals, then I feel like I could, go and get a house.
That makes sense. But now that's not the debt conversation. That's more the income
Mm,
conversation, right?
yeah, I think so.
So you're
So,
not really worried about the debt of it. You're worried more about having enough money to pay for the mortgage.
yeah, I would say that's fair. I mean, debt as a whole, I feel like it's just looked at as like you don't want a whole bunch of debt that you can't pay for, you know? So
Right.
that's kind of where my head goes when I think of debt.
Okay. So when you think of having a house, do you think of it as a debt?
No, not really.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I try not to.
Well, that's good. That's good because a lot of people sometimes don't want to get into buying a home because they feel like, oh my gosh, you buy a home, you're going into so much debt. Because if 20,000 feels like a lot of debt and you buy a house that's 300,000, say, now you feel like, oh my God, like look at your face, you're like $300,000 worth of debt. So I was just wondering if you see it that way or not.
No, I mean, as a me and probably fellow Gen Zers out there can relate. I mean, I don't. I mean, I look at the house. What it comes in the house. I don't really look at like the debt that's gonna come with the house. It's more just like keeping up with the mortgage payments every month, and
Okay,
you know.
which is good. That's a good thing because
Hmm.
the conversation I wanted to have around debt is a lot of people talk about the debt to income ratio,
Hmm.
right? Have you heard that term
I have.
before? Do you know what that actually looks like? Like when you do your debt to income, do you know what the debt amount is to the income amount?
No, I mean, I could assume that it would be, the amount of debt. Let's say there's $20,000 of debt out there somewhere, and then you're making $40,000 a year. Is that your debt
That
to?
it would be your debt to income, which is logical because when I was going to do this episode by myself, I was going to say that that's what people think. And so I'm glad to know that that's what people think.
Yeah.
And the truth is that is not what it is.
Oh.
That's not what it is. But you're not the only one that feels that way because a lot of people feel that way. Some
Hmm.
people have $100,000 worth of debt and they make $100,000 a year and they feel like, so my debt to income ratio is zero. I shouldn't get anything else. And so they're making $100,000 a year, but they won't go buy a house because they're like, no, man, because that's going to increase my debt to income ratio.
Hmm.
But that's not how it goes.
Oh.
So the debt to income ratio is actually it's based on a monthly amount, first of all. So
Hmm.
it's based on your monthly income.
Okay.
So if you make, say you make $48,000 a year, so I can
Hmm.
make the numbers easy for myself. If you make $48,000 a year, then monthly, your monthly gross would be $4,000 a month. I know you know this because you're like a mathematician, right? So
Yeah.
$4,000 a month is your gross income monthly,
Right.
right?
I believe so. Yeah.
48,000 divided by
Yes.
12
Yes. Yes, it is. All right. I was doing the math. I've had a long day at work.
Yes. So $4,000 a month is the income amount
Yes.
in the debt to income ratio. So you should be looking at that $4,000 a month, not the annual.
Okay.
And then when you look at the debt amount,
Mhm.
you should be looking at your debt payments a month. So if you pay $100 a month in credit card payments, $200 a month in credit card, and $100 a month in student loans, then you have $400 a month in debt payments. So your debt to income ratio now is $400 to $4,000 per month.
Oh wow. Okay.
Right? So it's like a whole lot better. Like it's like,
Yeah.
oh my God. So the fact that I owe 10,000 in student loans and 20,000 on my car, that big number doesn't matter. That $30,000 doesn't matter. The matter is what is that monthly payment up against your monthly gross income.
Okay.
That's your debt to income ratio. So if you got $400 a month in debt payments, student loan, car, what else did we say? Credit card.
Yeah.
Up against the 4,000. So 400 to 4,000 is what, 10%?
Something like that.
Yeah. So then you're doing it because the customary debt to income ratio for your debts should not be more than like 11% a month.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's what your debt to income ratio is. And so that was one of the big things I wanted to talk about today was for you Gen Zers, because I do feel like Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Y, I'm Gen X, the Gen Y is in between me and you. I think everybody feels that way. They just look at the big amount of their debt and they say, I already owe $20,000 for student loans and I only make $30,000 a year. So my debt to income ratio is too high. I can't do anything else. And so I really wanted to point that out, that that's not how that works. It's actually your monthly amount. So look at that.
Wow.
Look at that. Did that just like take off a whole lot of weight off the shoulder?
Definitely added some knowledge to
the scenario.
Yeah.
Da, da, da.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
The secrets that the bank hides from you.
Well, it's actually not hidden. It's like right there in a Google search somewhere, everybody. DTE, debt to income ratio. Why is it DTE? What would be DTI? Maybe it's DTI.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's
Debt
that.
to income.
Yeah, okay, whatever. You get the point, people. You get the point.
I got it.
Yeah.